Oh, there we go. Okay. Adam, mate, it's great to have you here for the case study. Thank you. I'm looking forward to asking a few questions about iyarn and your experience to date. You know, you've had an application for 2 different businesses you've used it for. Do you mind just giving us a bit of a quick summary around how it's been useful for you and your crew?
Yeah, so I'm Adam Mostogl, and I work across a number of different organisations, and we've integrated iyarn in 2 different ways with that. So I am the founder and inspirer of Illuminate Education Australia. We've taught now well over 15,000 students in schools all across the country how to start their own business while they're at school, but realising those skills that underpin that are the entrepreneurial skills, the soft skills, the things that young people need to go forward in their future, critical thinking, problem solving, all of that. And as you could imagine, we want to check on how students feel about, are they problem solving? Are they getting that chance to innovate, to create, to believe in what they're doing? We talk about confident, creative, and capable young people. We want them to believe in themselves, and we want to check in and ask them on how they're going and how they're progressing in that. And on average, our group size in 2019, which was the last time we could be in schools on a regular basis, was 140 kids in a room. So to sit there and ask questions one-on-one with all of them, it's pretty hard. But iyarn has been fantastic for students to quickly get a QR code up on the screen, scan it with a device, and quickly check in with us, and then use it to reflect and to discuss. And so that's the way that we've used it there. It's been awesome. And then I'm also the CEO and chief entrepreneur of the Diemen Project, which offers business support and helping people get their businesses started, growing, scaling, and also a lot of stuff in the community space. Based in Launceston in northern Tasmania. Gosh, we've had over 4,300 client meetings in the last couple of years. I've personally helped about 450 people on their startup journey in the last 12 months. And so as you could imagine, same sort of things. We want to check in with people about how they're going, but we also use it internally to check in with our staff. So every single week before our weekly team meeting, everyone gets the notifications on their devices. Go and do your iyarn check-in. And we use that as the starting point. Before we talk about where things are at, where the work is, we go, how are you feeling? Are you happy with where things are going? Are you anticipating the next week in a positive way or a negative way? Are you feeling stress and pressure? And it's actually been a really great way to check in on how our team are feeling and what else is happening, not just in their work life, but in their personal life that is affecting the way they do. And how can we help them as a whole person rather than just, well, you're here at this time, how do we get the most out of you? Actually realizing that people are people. And we want to help them with that. And we use iyarn in a whole heap of different areas, as well as like our event check-ins and everything else. But I'm really like, the stuff we do in the team space is awesome.
Right, Adam, it's great, you know, having someone like yourself who's willing to lean in and ask those questions, because some of the things that come up with businesses, you know, with iyarn is like, oh, you know, all of a sudden people feel they're sharing a lot of personal information. So how do you create that safe space with your staff to do those check-ins?
I think, well, we probably don't create the safe place that you're thinking of, because we then put it up on the screen and everyone looks at it. Everyone looks at the results every single week. And it's
at the team aggregate or individuals?
No, one-on-one. We go through the list. We go through, we pull out each person's results against the questions, and we ask them how they're going, because we can then all support. And so it's a diagnostic tool for us to go, wait a minute, you aren't feeling energized this week. What's gone on? What's actually happened? And they'll sit there and they go, it's either this or this. Something's happened, and then we can all sit there collectively with all of the different ways that we can support and go, how do we help? How can we be there? So I think we probably do the opposite as like a complete open and honesty, but it works for our team and it's been really great. And we've seen some people go through some really tough stuff and then sit there and actually be able to support them and encourage them and give them the space, the time, whatever we need to do to help them with that. And so I think that's been really good. In the school space, we use the public wheel, so it's anonymous. And so it's really good. And we just put the results up for the students, and it's really interesting. I think the first one that we do, the students are like, wait a minute, what is this? Quickly doing the check-in, it's great. But then once they see the results, they can reflect on it. And one example that I loved was at a school with a group of year 9 students, about 180 odd. First day they put the results in, great, yeah, what is this? Let's do that. And then the second day at the end of the day, we did the same check-in and we put the results up, and some of them went down, and then they argued with me because they said, no, those scores should have gone up. And I'm like, you put the data in. So that was the thing, is actually we're realizing that what they were putting in actually had a response. And I think that's the thing for me. It's the quick check-in, and then actually the visualization of those results gives us a lot of information, but actually sharing it gives a lot of power. It's to the point I've been doing some support in the disability sector. And when the slide comes up with the QR code and I put the iyarn logo in the middle of it, everyone's like, oh yes, it's time for iyarn, and check in. And it's a really great time to then actually use those questions to discuss and to chat. I just find, I think if we ask for feedback, people are willing to give it. We're often very afraid to do it. And we've got to be open with the stuff that might not be great. But like when someone says, I'm struggling, I need some help, like If your reaction is to, okay, I'm just going to leave you alone, like that's not a human reaction. A human reaction is we come in, we support, we encourage. And so it's more, we've got a space that we can ask those questions because people can call out when they need it.
And then, so, I love these stories and way how you do engage with your students with the tool. I guess, and can you give us a bit of an insight around, like, it could be inspire other people who are doing similar work. What kind of things do you check in on? Is it like the outcomes of the specific workshop you're doing? Does it vary each time you do a check-in?
Yeah, so there's a couple of questions that I sort of ask around. And so I often ask someone about how, I'm just thinking of the event ones that we do. We often ask them about, have they found the support that they needed? So basically, do they trust what we've delivered, and do they believe they can support us? Can we support them in what they're doing?
Right.
There's when I'm doing multiple day workshops, I ask questions about anticipation. Are they anticipated and excited for what's coming next? Because if they're not anticipated something, like if I'm doing a multi-day event and they're not excited about coming back, I've got something we've got to work on. And so there's that. Asking them about their confidence and do they actually believe they can use this stuff. I ask a question about application. Can you use this again? Because we spend a lot of time building those skills, and I don't want to just be sitting in a room with someone and going, here's the things that you need to do, and then they can't translate it or transfer it or apply to another space. And so there's some of the questions that I'm using it for from that business reflection perspective. In students, we're asking them about how stressed they might be feeling, how confident they're feeling in a range of areas. And we have 4 core skill areas at Illuminate Education Australia. We talk about young people, about communication skills. So communications, working smart, understanding, and of course, I forget the 4th one, which is problem solving. And so we actually ask them, do they have the confidence in those 4 areas as well, and track that as it progresses as well. So we sort of use it where I'm really like, if we're going to do something, we've got to do it well and we've got to track it. So we use it in that. And then our entrepreneurs check-in that we do starts to probably lean more into the mental health and well-being space. And so we ask them about their social life, their exercise, their excitement in their idea, and their excitement about what is coming next as well. And so we start to sort of lean more into that, which could be the triggers and the stress points that actually could probably get them to reduce or to lighten the impact, or kind of give up on an idea, which actually is quite good.
Awesome. I love that. And Adam, I just want to acknowledge you also. You've been such a great supporter of iyarn. You've been really leaning in and giving us that feedback and, saying, oh, it would be great if we could have this or that and the other. And, it's been great. It goes back to this concept of MVP, right? So we were working with you for probably 6 months, 8 months before we started really leaning in and did it. And it's been great. And then you're like, it worked for you. You got to test the product. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is good enough for me to pay for it. And it's been a great journey with you getting that feedback. So, with that in mind, we've got a few things in the roadmap that would help you with the product. Like, I'd love to hear a bit more around how you're looking at using it for the, the next kind of 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, I think obviously as we get back into schools face-to-face and being able to travel across the country, it'll only be more and more that we use it. And that's the really great part as we do more workshops and run more sessions around the place and expand our team as well. To do that, we're about to sort of build out with some of the organisations that already Illuminate has staff based in Melbourne and in Tasmania. So like I haven't seen them for a little while. And so to be able to do the iyarn check-ins and be able to know that very quickly, get a notification and be able to check in and see how they're going, and in a really unobtrusive way, instead of picking up the phone and going, hey, how was your week? What are you this and this? And I'm your boss, I'm asking you, like getting rid of all of that. That's really great from our perspective. And I think it's, as it rolls out, I'm always one who loves to sort of get into things as they're building and as they're growing, more to see how they're shaping and growing. And obviously some of the questions that I've asked of you have been, it'd be really interesting how we use this. Like we using the public wheels, so anonymous check-ins on events, but we want to share it amongst our team. And those questions, and the thing is, from my perspective, I'm as a business advisor, I ask questions of people all the time. And I know sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm just going to ask the question. And I think that's been really great watching that journey and going, wait a minute, this is what we're going to do. And it's like, oh, actually, that's so much better anyways. Like, can we have that? And then the other side of it, you'll send me an email and go, have you checked out this? And it's like, yes, this is amazing. And I think we actually, just on our startup journey and our entrepreneurial journey, we need those people that we can check in with and ask questions and just to go, wait a minute, is this working and not? And I think, especially in that business context, to be able to have someone that can ask questions and support is really encouraging. And so that's what I love to give. And I've got definitely those people in my life. And so I think that's been exciting for me in the iyarn journey. I know you've asked me about where we're going. I think it's just, we're going to be in more schools, in more communities, running more workshops. I'm about 1 year into 3 years of work in the disability sector to help more people with disabilities start businesses, but also actually encouraging the employees in the sector to be entrepreneurial, because if they're not thinking about starting businesses and being innovative and creative, how can they then advocate for participants to do the same? And that's only going to give us more reasons to be using iyarn as a check-in platform and actually as a post check-in to go, how are you feeling afterwards? How are you feeling 6 months down the track? Are you still getting this out of this? And like, I can't call them back into a room all the time, but I can fire them an email and they can do a check-in, click on a link. And that's the stuff that it's just so quick and easy to use. It just means that sort of stuff. You get a SurveyMonkey link, you get another Google form, you just go, yeah, cool. But you get an iyarn link. It's like, oh, it'll take me 30 seconds. This will be great. And the data is just as good. And it's actually really useful.
Awesome. Well, Adam, it's been great working with you, and looking forward to continue that journey over the next 12, 24 months and ahead. So thank